What's up, guys? Wednesday evening, got a bag of Black Oak Coffee Roasters Othaya. So the variety is SL34, SL28, Bourbon. I don't know if what they wrote in there was SL34, SL28, and Bourbon, but in any case, those are the varieties that make up this coffee. They're larger beans, as you can see, and it is a washed coffee. So the coffee is hand-picked, it is washed, and then it is dried. And this is one of 4 bags that they sent to me. This is the only Kenyan. All of the coffees were African, but this is the sole Kenyan coffee. And you know, my first love for African coffee started with Ethiopians, and I still love Ethiopians. In fact, 3 of the Black Oak coffees that I tried were Ethiopians, but Kenya kind of won me over the last few years, particularly when I tried Case Coffee Roasters and their Kenya Gachatha AA in 2015, I believe it was. And that coffee is still one of the best I've ever had. But you know what? This is a Kenyan coffee that kind of takes me back to that one. And when you smell it, the whole beans that is, it's really reminiscent of a typical AA Kenyan coffee, where there's this kind of buttery richness to it, something that I often describe as raspberry and butter just kind of blended in, churned into some kind of delicious raspberry fudge. And I just brewed up an espresso with this. The reason that is notable is because I haven't brewed an espresso with it up until this point, and it was a silver medal winner in the Golden Bean Awards this year, 2017, particularly for the espresso category. It won bronze in drip for single origins, but espresso, second place. I've been sipping it here for a minute. I'll tell you about the aroma of the espresso. Milk chocolate is what instantly came to mind. And as far as taste goes, something that I picked up on was raisins. It's got a really strong punch to it, almost like a pomegranate juice. It's pretty bright, and when you swallow it, it really kind of strikes the throat. I don't even know what that means necessarily, but you can feel the acidity in it. But it's not like a sour acidity. It's more on the sweet side. Having said that, I thought that this coffee was very earthy and soupy in a way. That tomato soup description that I've often used with Kenyans definitely applies here, particularly in the aroma. When I brewed it as just a pour over, it also had some of those soupier, earthy notes. So let me just tell you what some others thought about this coffee. We conducted a little cupping on Halloween weekend and had a bunch of amateur cuppers, including myself. This is really only the second time I've done it, or my wife had done it, and we had a lot of fun. Raspberry soupy is what I said. One person wrote collard greens for this coffee, which I thought was interesting, but kind of in line with those more vegetable-y tasting notes that I often pick up in Kenyan coffees. One person had the very mature comment of doo-doo, but you know, it happens. Strong, bold, but yeah, this was as full immersion. So when that coffee was tasted, it had just been steeping, and I'd say the goodness in this coffee came out more when it was brewed traditionally. And I know I've really let this espresso sit for a minute, but it's tasting more and more like juice the farther along I go with this review right now. So normally I would consume one of these pretty quickly. It's definitely good body, good acidity, and good complexity. Sweetness, not super sweet, but more sweet than sour under the right conditions. And it was the consensus second favorite of the coffees we tried. Really pretty close second for me, next to the Chilauktu Ethiopian, but the reason that this one wasn't quite on the same level is because it didn't quite have the same balance, maybe. So this one is a little bit bright for a Kenyan, but I think you would be impressed, especially if you've never had a Kenyan coffee before. This is an excellent one to give a try, and just kind of expand your coffee palette of the world. So this is a great region if you haven't tried it already, and I think that this works great for espresso. It works well for drip, and let's see, did I do any immersion aside from that cupping? I did a French press, and it was actually very good. In fact, arguably better than the Chemex. So the Chemex, we got some cherry and cinnamon notes, and then, or I should say I got some cherry and cinnamon notes, and then French press, fruity, earthy, very good is what I wrote, buttery, vegetable soup aroma. So it was more complex, and I know the wife didn't like, this is ironic, she didn't like the pour over as much as she liked the French press version, and normally she's not a big French press fan. So take that as you will, but in any case, I think that this is forgiving enough to give a try. So if you have any questions about this coffee, or maybe you have had a chance to try it, leave your review or those questions below, and I'd be happy to hear from you. Thanks so much.